for the previous data sent by the receiver. So here only you say only 3 segments are involved. Okay, 3 segments are involved. So this kind of techniques are also followed in order to reduce the traffic. Okay, so that technique is called piggybacking. Okay, so in exam 1 marks question can be asked what is piggybacking, and then the last thing is to avoid this army, because here also 2 army problem will come. Already you try to visualize how it will come. And then to avoid this 2 army problem, here also individual decisions are made by the transport layer by using timers. Okay, that is why we use timers over here. Okay. So so this TCP, that is how the connection is released in a TCP. Okay. Now the next topic that we look upon is a TCP flow and congestion window. Okay, so already we have a great amount of discussion on this topic, but still here we will look in a little bit more detail. Okay, so while we were discussing about this flow, we saw like how the sender window size, okay, sender window size is maintained in response to the buffer space available at the receiver. The receiver advertises its buffer space and it will accordingly it will set the window size. Okay, that we have seen. So why we were doing that? In order to avoid congestion only. Okay, so see here, there are 2 kinds of windows, or 2 different windows should be maintained at the sender. Okay, in order to avoid congestion and flow control. So first is when the receiver, first is when we are taking in account the buffer space available at the transport layer of the receiver. Okay, so according to that only the sender has to adjust its window. Okay, so that was when we are taking into account the receiver buffer space. Okay, the second is when we were taking into account the flow control at the receiver. Okay, according to that the sender window size was adjusted. The second issue is we have to also take into account the maximum flow of data in the network. Okay, so suppose the flow in the network is not that much. Okay, if you have a slow link, you cannot afford too much flow of the network. So according to that flow of the network, or the packets that should be present at the network at a particular time, according to that also we have to set the window size. So you see here this window size at the sender is influenced by 2 factors. Okay, the first factor is according to the receiver buffer size, and the second factor is according to the flow of the data in the network. Okay, so we will look at it, but here you see the first point. What I am trying to say is how this congestion is controlled, how this congestion is controlled by the transport layer. Okay, so how it is controlled, how the size of the window is controlled, that is the major thing. Okay, so when the transport layer or the transport entity senses that the network lot amount of bandwidth is available in the network and the rate of the flow of the packets can be very much, so at that time what it is doing, it is increasing the rate of the flow of the packets. And how it is increasing? Increasing additively. So suppose if one packet was sent before, okay, by the sender, and the acknowledgement for that packet was received, and the sender sees like, okay, the bandwidth of the channel is available now, so instead of sending one packet, it will additively increase and make it 2. Now it will send 2 packets at once, and again when it receives the acknowledgement for the 2 packets, and it will see, okay, again the bandwidth is so much there, I can still send one more packet. So additively it will again increase and make it at 3 packets. So you see here it is additively increasing when the bandwidth is available. Okay, but when it experiences congestion, or when the sender senses like, okay, there is congestion in the network, what it will do? It will decrease the rate of the flow of the packet in the network. And how it is decreasing? It is decreasing multiplicatively. Okay, so suppose if there were 4 packets which it has sent to the receiver, and when it senses like, okay, these 4 packets are experiencing congestion, so in the next time it will divide, okay, it will like reduce the flow of the data and make it as 2. So this is multiplicatively they are decreasing. So in a way you say it is implementing this property, okay, this is implementing this kind of property called AIMD, additively increase, okay, when the bandwidth is high, when the bandwidth of the channel is high, okay, bandwidth is high, and multiplicatively decrease means when the bandwidth is low it will multiplicatively decrease. So that is the control law which is followed in case of binary congestion signals in TCP. Okay. So here the next point come to the next point. The TCP maintains a congestion window, as I already said, in response to this bandwidth or rate of flow in the network. The TCP will maintain a congestion window whose size is the number of bytes the sender may have in the network at any time. The corresponding rate is the window size divided by the round trip time of the connection. So what does that mean? Okay, so here congestion window is maintained, and this congestion window is decided by the amount of packets which is available in the network at a particular amount of time. Amount of packets that a network can support, packets that a network can support at a particular amount of time, at any instant of time. Okay. Okay. So based upon that it will adjust its congestion window. So you see here how can we define this amount of packets that a network can maximum amount of packets that a network can have at any particular instant of time. That is defined by bandwidth delay product. Okay, bandwidth delay product. Okay. So this bandwidth delay product is actually the information carrying capacity of the channel. Okay, you might have studied it somewhere. Okay, so this bandwidth delay product is actually the information carrying capacity of the channel. It will tell you how many number of packets will the network support at a particular instant of time. So according to that the TCP will maintain its congestion window. Okay. Again you see, along with this factor, along with this bandwidth delay product, the receiver buffer size is also one of the important factor to maintain this congestion window size. So you see here there are two factors influencing the size of the congestion window. First is the bandwidth delay product, okay, and the second is the receiver buffer size. Okay, the receiver buffer size that we saw before. So how then you have these two factors, then how this TCP maintains? The TCP will look at the smaller of these two factors. Whichever is the smaller, according to that it will adjust the congestion window size. So you visualize like this. Okay, like suppose the receiver, okay, suppose the receiver has 64 kb of buffer. Okay, the receiver is saying that it has 64 kb of buffer and it is asking from the sender to send 64 kb of buffer, or adjust its you adjust your window size to 64 kb and send me 64 kb. But the sender also sees that the network in between, the links in between is only supporting maximum 32 kb bytes. Okay, it is only supporting maximum 32 kb bytes, that is the bandwidth delay product. So this sender will choose the smallest of these two. The smallest of these two is 32 and it will send the it will adjust its window size to 32 kb and according to that it will send the data to the receiver. Okay. Okay. Similarly, if you see, if this link, now this is the first case and this is the second case. In this second case, suppose this is the sender and it is sending at 64 kb. Suppose this is the sender and the link is supporting 64 kb and the receiver buffer size is only 32 kb available. Okay. In that case, what happens? Again the sender thinks, okay, only 64 kb is supported by the network, but the receiver size is only 32. So even then the receiver buffer will be full. So then it will again see the smaller of these two and will adjust its window size to the smaller. So it will adjust its window size to 32. So every time this sender is maintaining its congestion window based upon the smaller of these two factors. Okay. So that is how this congestion is maintained at the sender side. Congestion window is maintained at the sender side. So if you see here, one term is there, sending rate. Okay. So this sending rate is the window size divided by the round trip time of the connection. So this sending rate, so if you see here, this sending rate, okay, will be influenced by two factors. Okay. So first factor will be, okay, the factor of the network. Factor of the network means the bandwidth delay product. Okay. So bandwidth delay product, okay, and the second factor will be the receiver buffer size. So first it will calculate the sending rate on based upon those two factors, and again from those two factors whichever is the smallest, it will implement that sending rate at the sender side. Okay. Here now the question is how the sender knows if there is a congestion. How the sender knows if there is a congestion? So sender knows there is a congestion either through the packet loss. If the packet loss is there, the transport layer will tell, receiver will tell to the sender that there has been a packet loss, then the sender will come to know, okay, there has been a congestion in the network. Or the second method is acknowledgement signals. Through the acknowledgement signals also it can know like there is a congestion, and it will trigger the congestion control mechanism. Okay. So how that packet loss is pretty much clear how it is happening. So now let's look at how the acknowledgement signals are proving as a trigger for congestion control. Okay. So you see here, okay, so you see here you have simple demonstration. Okay, you have got a sender and you have got a receiver there. Okay, so this sender and this intermediate device, suppose this is a router, this is connected through a fast link, means this has a high bandwidth delay product and it can support higher data flow. But that receiver is connected to this router, this intermediate device, through a slower link. Okay, so when the packets are being sent on this fast link, the time duration, this is the time duration, this time duration for the packets to be sent on this fast link is very less. Okay, so it is going fastly to the router. But here when it is going on the slow link, this time duration becomes larger for the packets to go to the receiver. Okay, so in this case you can imagine if the rate of flow is higher in this link and the rate of flow is lower at this link, so some congestion will definitely happen. So how to avoid this congestion? The receiver will send the acknowledgement. Okay, so this acknowledgement will travel at a certain speed on the slow link. Okay, and this acknowledgement will also travel at the certain speed on the fast link. But the difference here is this speed of this acknowledgement signals will not change. Okay, so whatever was the speed at this slow link, that speed is maintained at this fast link also. One point to note here is this: the speed of the acknowledgement signals do not change. So when the sender receives this acknowledgement signals, it will see, okay, this acknowledgement signal is taking so much time to come. It will sense this. Then it will decide, okay, I am sending the data at this much rate, but the acknowledgement signals are coming at very low rate. So there is a possibility of congestion. So that is why it will trigger the congestion control mechanism in the transport layer, and it will tell the transport layer to adjust the window size accordingly. So you see here this acknowledgement signal is also proving a mechanism of a way to trigger congestion control. Okay. Okay. So we have seen what are the points in congestion control. One more thing to note over here is we saw that AIMD rule is implemented in order to implement this congestion mechanism. Okay, additive increase, multiplicative decrease. But suppose the bandwidth of the channel is very high, okay, and the packets are additively, rate of flow of packets is additively increasing. So it will take more amount in order to increase, in order to reach the highest potential. So what I am trying to say is, suppose there is a network, you just see over here, okay, there is a modest network path that can support 10 Mbps of flow of data with an RTT of 100 milliseconds. So here RTT is round trip time, the time taken by the data to come and its to receive to the receiver and the acknowledgement to be sent at the sender. So that total time, round trip time is taking 100 millisecond, and the link is supporting 10 Mbps. So if you calculate the number of data packets which is supported at the link at any particular time will be given by bandwidth delay product that we already saw, and on this bandwidth delay product the congestion window will be maintained. So how will we calculate this bandwidth delay product in this case? It will be, okay, the bandwidth is 10 Mbps multiplied by this round trip time which is 100 millisecond. Okay. So it comes out to be 1 megabit. Okay. 1 megabit, or you can say equivalently 100 packets of 1250 bytes each. Okay, so both are the same. Okay, so this 1 megabit packets should be there at any time in the network in order to avoid congestion. Okay, now you see this case. Now we are implementing this AIMD rule. If the congestion window starts sending packet, starts at 1 packet, okay, and it has received the acknowledgement, it will increase the packet by 1. So now it is sending 2 packets, again it receives the acknowledgement, then again it is sending, increasing 1 packet more. So if you consider this case, the total round trip time that will be required will be 100 round trip times. Okay, so it will be like 10 seconds, okay, before the connection is reaching this maximum potential of 1 megabit. Okay, maximum potential is 1 megabit, but the this is bandwidth delay product. Okay, don't confuse with bandwidth. Okay, so you see here, when you are when you are using this AIMD rule, it is taking 100 round trip times, okay, 10 seconds to reach to this maximum capacity 1 bit. So what does this mean? Even your channel is, bandwidth is available, but because you are only increasing one packet at every round trip time, the time is taking 10 seconds in order to reach 1 megabit, and this 10 seconds is very much more. Okay, nowadays when you are switching on YouTube, it doesn't even take 1 second to connect. So this 10 seconds can't be afforded. Okay, so this AIMD is not proving beneficial for this kind of network in certain cases. So what is the solution to this? Either you see that the bandwidth is very large and you start sending all the frames at once, okay, all the packets at once, but then another problem will arise. Maybe at some other way, at some places the links will be slow and it may lead to congestion. So there is an alternative which is called slow start. Okay, which is called slow start. Okay, so using this algorithm you can, okay, you can make up of the disadvantage of AIMD. So in this slow start, what happens? There is an exponential growth. Okay, instead of an additive growth, there is an exponential growth of the rate of flow of the packets. So suppose this congestion window is 1. Okay, here the congestion window is 1. Okay, and this data has been received, okay, in 1 RTT, and 1 packet has been received. Okay, this acknowledgement has been received at the sender. This congestion window is exponentially increased to 2. Okay, so now this 1 packet which was sent, now this 2 packets will be sent. Okay, now this acknowledgement, after receiving the acknowledgement for these two packets, here exponentially it has been increased to 4 packets, that is 2 to the power 2, that is 4 packets is now being sent. So see here earlier it was 1 packet, 2 packet, 3 packets, like that, but here now it is exponentially increasing, 4 packets. So even though the starting is slow, but it will reach the maximum capacity in a less amount of time than the AIMD. So nowadays this slow start is being followed in order to maintain the congestion and utilize the channel efficiently. Okay. Over, sir.